Hello, everyone. I am delighted to welcome you today to One Step Global on Air, and I am delighted to have with me Mr. Chris Garrett, Head of Global Collaboration at Buckinghamshire New University. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Likewise. So, why don't you begin with a small introduction of yourself? Our students would want to know more about you.
Okay, sure. So, I grew up in a place called Suffolk, a countryside county in the east of England. Went to school, spent my early teenage years living and working. Since then, I've been working in higher education for about 15 years, working for a number of different universities, the University of Suffolk, the University of Reading, and now I'm based at BNU, Buckinghamshire New University.
Amazing. Thank you for letting us know more about you. So, currently, you are touring India, and what kind of student mobility trend have you been observing in India, or is there something that you have been studying about back in your country?
Sure. So yeah, I've been on the road for 10 days now. I'm coming to the end of the trip, and we've had lots of interactions and meetings with education providers, our partners, and industry leaders too. And what has really come through for me is that the student mobility trends are really shifting. I think we've seen that the UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK, yeah, we've had the major destinations that have had a good share of students for many years now, but that trend seems to be shifting. We're seeing that students are seeking value for money. They want a real return on their investment, and they're now looking at alternative destinations. So, Germany is a country that I'm hearing that's coming up more and more during the interactions that I've had, but there's still so much interest for the UK. I think the historic ties between India and the UK mean that students are still very much engaged with the education that we provide in the institutions and the brand that the UK has. But there's definitely a shift that I'm noticing.
Yes. And how is New Buckinghamshire University supporting students during these so-called challenges? So there's a lot of concern among Indian students about migrating abroad, and there's just a sense of, I would say, anxiety among students that would their admission be smooth? What
Mhm.
kind of new opportunities would they get if they move to a new country? So, how do you think your university is supporting students in this whole process?
Well, what we do is we have active conversation with our current students, our current international students, to understand their anxieties and how they went going through that process of considering where to study, how to apply, the visa process. So I think we've got a really good understanding of the mindset of students at the moment. And what we're trying to do is ensure that we're bridging all of those information gaps at every point in the student journey. We obviously work with a network of recruitment partners across the region, have a very strong network here in India. What we're also trying to do is plug the misinformation gap as well.
Mm.
What we're seeing is, what we're hearing from some students is what they're seeing on social media, that the UK is not welcoming. And I think my role and my team's role is to ensure that students have that accurate information about what student life is actually about in the UK. So what we're doing is try to connect our current students with future students in lots of different formats, webinars, social media. We have a very active students' union, an incredibly strong Indian student society, and they tell us that they're very much aligned with prospective students who are contacting them on a regular basis, asking for advice. So yeah, there's lots of activities that we've got in place. We have a team based here in India as well. So my team is working across the country, meeting prospective students, giving them the information that they need to ensure that that process is as smooth as possible. I think what we also recognise is the speed that students expect to be admitted to the university, and delays cause anxiety. So we've heavily invested in our admissions team over the last few months to improve the speed that we're able to process decisions for incoming students, but also being able to provide that proactive information when students require that.
I think that's very affirming for students. I mean, a university that is so closely involved with their admission process would definitely reduce their whole anxiety levels. When it comes to Buckinghamshire, what do you think are your most iconic programs? What are the standout features of those programs? And what kind of exposure can students expect when they're studying at your campus?
Sure. So BNU is a very broad-based institution. We have a huge number of degree programs, both bachelor's and master's level. But I guess what I would say is what we're strong in is where we have demand. And we have strong demand across our business and management programs, particularly programs such as digital marketing, finance and investment. What I would say is that our programs are very industry aligned. Our academic staff are writing curriculum that's based on employer industry networks and the information that we're getting back from those organizations who are telling us about the skills that students need in marketing or computer science, but also the soft skills, problem solving. I've had nothing but conversations this week around how employers want students to have those problem solving abilities. And I think what I've learned, particularly during this trip, is the interdisciplinary nature of the programs that some institutions here in India are doing really successfully. Students across different program areas working really closely together. And it's been great because I've had 3 academic colleagues with me, so 3 deans of college, and they've all been able to discuss how they're doing this within their curriculum, particularly. So one example is film and TV. We have a fantastic film and TV suite of programs, fantastic industry relevant equipment. But we have students from film working with our dance students and our theatre students and our music students to put together this production, inviting employers onto campus for our students to showcase their work.
That sounds absolutely amazing. And in terms of extracurricular activities and global exposure, what do you think are the unique prospects that Indian students could expect while living at the campus at your university?
I think what they can expect is what they're willing to put into the effort of doing this. I think lots of students are very dedicated to their studies, but at BNU in particular, like I said earlier, we have such a strong students' union. We work really closely with our students' union. And we put on lots of activities for students, ranging from trips and events and activities off campus, events on campus. Our Indian society are putting on lots of events throughout the year, Bollywood events, celebrating cultural festivals, but also doing this and interacting with our domestic students to help improve their cultural understanding of different parts of the world. But one thing that's really special about BNU is what we call the big deal. So the big deal is offered by our students' union, where almost all of the activities they provide are free of charge. So we recognise that we're living in an era of cost of living. Cost of living is incredibly high, both in the UK and I would imagine here in India. Which is why we're putting on as many of those activities as we can free of charge, including some meals. So during the week, there are opportunities for international students specifically to benefit from free meals on campus.
Absolutely wonderful. And what kind of networking opportunities does the university facilitate for students? Because one of the key aspects of studying abroad for them is to gain access to internship opportunities, practical learning. So, what kind of alumni network or what kind of professional counseling does the university provide?
Sure. So, as I said earlier, our degrees are all industry focused, industry aligned. And we bring industry onto campus to interact with our students across a range of subjects. And that looks very different for each subject. It could be a guest lecture. But what's very common across many of our subjects is employers, industry connections are giving real life briefs to our students. So students are working on a real life problem that companies are facing in the UK. They're able to work through that, obviously, often in groups, building their team working skills, leadership skills, and then presenting those ideas back to those employers. And in many cases, those employers are actually using those solutions that our students are coming up with. Something that's new for us for September 2026 entry is a suite of master's programs that we'll be offering with a placement year. So this is what's known as the 1+1 model. So we're working in partnership with an organisation in the UK who will help our students to gain further employability skills and then help them to find this placement. So a year-long placement that would be an assessed integral part of their course. And for the last week, travelling across India, I've heard nothing but praise for this approach. Because like I said, value for money is what students are talking about now. They're going beyond just having a qualification.
Yeah.
They need an experience that allows them to move seamlessly into employment, into good employment, in a field that's related to what they're studying and what their interests are. So we're really hoping that this partnership and the 1+1 initiative will be really attractive to students here in India. But we want to go one step further. And I personally have an ambition that we will help support students to reintegrate back into life here in India. I think lots of students that are coming from India to the UK want to benefit from the graduate route visa, so the post-study work visa, allowing students to stay for up to 18 months after they've graduated. But there will come a point at which students want to come back to India to be with family, friends, to start to build their future and their career here. So my ambition is that we will seamlessly support students to reintegrate back into India, into companies with fantastic employment outcomes. And during this trip, we visited a number of industry organizations, such as T-Hub in Hyderabad, who are doing a fantastic job of helping young students, young people with startup ideas.
So, coming to your partnerships in India, you just mentioned one organization that you visited. Any other forthcoming partnerships that you envisage in India? And currently, you're also working with One Step Global as your admissions partner in India. How has that partnership helped you gain meaningful talent from India in terms of student recruitment and awareness about your university?
Sure. So we're going through a rapid phase of transformation at BNU, and we have done for the past year under the leadership of a new Vice Chancellor. We're currently working on our internationalization strategic plan that will be launched really soon. Up until now, our focus has been on attracting students to our campus in the UK for full-time study, but we're absolutely committed to evolving our strategy further. We're looking at taking what we have to offer and working in collaboration with organizations here in India, whether that's a college, a university, or industry connections. In terms of our partnership with One Step, it's a fantastic partnership that's going from strength to strength. Some of the visits from my trip in the past week wouldn't have been possible without the advice and the connections that One Step Global have brought. My team in India are employed by One Step, and what's fantastic is my team are able to get that on the ground daily advice from their peers, from their mentors here in One Step on opportunities, market entry strategies, which I think is incredibly invaluable today. So for BNU, public-private partnerships in particular are incredibly important to us. I think we recognize that we can't do everything on our own and we need to work with experts. And India is a country that's incredibly important to us. What I haven't mentioned is we have around 1,400 students, international students, so 1,400 international students studying with us at the moment. and more than 50% of those come from India. So we have been attracting students for a very long time, and we want to continue that, but we also want to give back. We want to ensure that the programs we're offering are relevant to Indian students. And like I said, that integration back to India post-graduation is really, really important to us.
I think that's pretty obvious that India is a very important market for you. But beyond India, even the South Asia region has been evolving as a major outbound student market for universities around the world. So, any expansion plans that you foresee beyond India in the South Asia region?
Sure, we're actually really active in other parts of the region. So before I travelled to India, myself and my academic colleagues were in Kathmandu in Nepal. We had a fantastic few days meeting with our recruitment partners, meeting with prospective university partners, as well as some industry connections there too. So BNU is very famous for studies in aviation. So we've been training pilots and aviation adjacent industries for more than 20 years. We have an active network with London Heathrow Airport, for example. So we had a great meeting with the Association of Pilots in Nepal. They came to us with a bit of a dilemma, which is that lots of pilots in Nepal who have been working as a pilot for a number of years, who trained as a pilot, don't have any academic qualifications. And now they're finding that in order for them to progress in their career, they need to retrain or gain some academic qualifications. So one of those discussions that we had is around the support that BNU could provide to this group of partners in Nepal working on educational programs that meet their very specific needs. So yeah, Nepal, absolutely priority for us. Sri Lanka is another great part of the world where we're seeing really good traction. Every one of these countries has its own very unique features. So what we're trying to do is to really understand what's needed from students in each of those distinct countries to ensure that our offer reflects exactly that.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, for sharing these insights with us. Any last message that you would want to give to the students and parents listening to us today?
There's probably lots of things that I could say. I think for the last week, particularly here in India, lots of the conversations that I've had have centered around AI. AI is an integral part of our life now. And I think that my advice would be for young people to truly understand what the future looks like. The jobs that we are seeing at the moment in 10 years might not exist. So really think about the skills that students want to develop that can be taken through any part of life. Those transferable skills. Subject specialist skills and acquisition of knowledge is incredibly important, but we need to think longer term here. The world is changing. It's fascinating. And the speed of change is huge. So I think students need to really think about what's going to happen in the future, in 10 or 20 years. What does the world look like? And what's their place in that world?
Well, thank you for sharing all this wealth of information with us. I'm pretty sure our students and their parents and even the faculty members from their current schools and universities that are listening to us today would have gained a lot of insight into how student mobility is evolving around the world, how Buckinghamshire New University is helping students make this transition from their home country to this wonderful campus in the United Kingdom. And well, thank you so much, Chris, for being with us here today. And this was Mr. Chris Garrett, and you were watching One Step Global on air. Until next time, thank you.